Titles are rented. Authority is owned. Hey, you work an entry-level job, you work your way up, you get that title, then you have influence. That's not the case now. You should have influence before you get that title. Companies, they now hire influence because attention is the currency. So if you're working for a company, they need to know that they have polished, credible, thought-provoking leaders on their team. Is that going to bring more opportunities? Are they going to feel like you're going to get snatched up by a different opportunity? Possibility, but come on. Okay, so this episode, we're going to talk about why influence now outranks position. So this episode is going to build on the previous episode because I think it's so impactful and you guys need to really understand how this is going to impact your opportunities in 2026 and beyond. So I got to start with this bar because it's so relevant to now. Titles are rented. Authority is owned. Bar. Okay. So there's, like I said, there's been an authority shift, and I definitely want to explain the difference between the old model and the new model. So the old model was, hey, you work an entry-level job, you work your way up, you get that title, then you have influence. That's not the case now. So the new model is you should have influence before you get that title, right? That's just the way it is. And let me break this down for you. So executives or leaders that speak publicly get promoted, partnerships or collaborations faster than, leaders that don't speak up at all. Those are facts. So you got to put yourself out there. So leaders with audiences attract investors, boards, partnerships. Just look at Gary Vee. He does all those things. He's polarizing. He's consistent, and he's always putting out content. That's how he gets those opportunities. So companies, they now hire influence because attention is the currency. Attention is the currency now, right? So I want to give you guys 3 authority builders for executives. The first, is the most important one, is podcasting for leadership, right? Not for ego, but for positioning. It documents your thinking, how you evolve and the nuances and your personal brand and just certain things it does. It builds association with a specific niche or topic or industry. And it shows that you know how to have an intelligent conversation, right? And number 2 is strategic content because you're documenting your knowledge and your growth. And you don't need to post random posts. You have to be intentional about, what you're doing. You have to be focused in your niche. Let me give you an example, AI in leadership, sales, psychology, corporate culture, operational excellence, right? So those are the examples I wanted to give you. So, and then number 3, speaking, you need to speak in internal town halls and external conferences or panels, because what's going to happen is that authority is going to build more authority and it's going to compound, right? When your voice is visible.
I want to take a pause for a second and talk about your confidence, right? You got the experience, the results, the credibility, but when it comes to putting your voice out there, fear creeps in. Who am I to do this? Does that sound familiar? That's imposter syndrome, and it's keeping you small. My coaching is about breaking through that, helping you turn your expertise into content, conversation, and coaching that builds real influence in your industry. So if you're done hiding behind titles and ready to lead with your story, head over to connectingwithcreatives.com/coaching and let's get started. I'll see you soon.
I want to kill some limited thinking that I know a lot of. I promise you, let me give you a story. One of my prospects, one of my clients, I was having a conversation with this individual, and, this individual had, 10 plus years in the role, 10 plus years of executing, reaching targets, goals, leading teams, building up team members, having hard conversations, giving feedback, coaching, literally coaching. And the one thing that this individual had said was that, and I'm paraphrasing, it was they were gang, starting their platform and things of that nature. But the one thing that I think maybe this resonates with you, that, what are my colleagues are going to say about this? And that is the most paralyzing thoughts that we all have. I've had those thoughts too. What if I don't, me putting out specific, type of content, is it going to be looked at as, or, but then like I think one of my gifts is having a short memory and not caring what other people think as much. And I move forward. Right. I think that's one of my gifts that I have. Maybe that's you, or maybe you're on the other side of that is really you're caught up in your head, like what other people or other leaders are going to think about you wanting to build your personal brand or your platform or your thought leadership. Another big objection that, leaders have, I don't have time, right? You do have time. You know how to manage your time. You just have to integrate it in there and prioritize your platform. That's what you have to do. You really have to self-assess your situation. You have time. Trust me, I have a family. I have, all of my kids are in sports, travel sports, high school, middle school sports, just, life. And so I make time for this, right? It's just being, automating certain processes, delegating. You know how to do those. You have that skill set. And this is the big one too, is like thinking that leadership is thinking that you're self-promoting. Yeah, you are. You are, but I think that's a conversation that you can, I can help with that. Like if you want to hop on the discovery call and we can like work through some stuff and really kind of see what the company culture is. We can see, if I can help you out, but I've been able to help navigate those waters with my clients and I'm still having those conversations, right? But that could be worked out. And on the other side of that, like stakeholders, leadership, they actually want a rock star on their team because that only enhances the company's profile, but it also enhances, obviously your profile. So it's a win-win situation, but it's just obviously you got to have those conversations to where it's not compromising your workflow and they understand where you guys are at and your priorities. And you can let them know, like, I have a proven track record. This is not obviously is going to interfere with, what I'm doing, but a lot of this is automated. So again, if you guys need clarity on that, let's definitely hop on the call so you guys understand how this really works on the back end. And like I said, like my company won't like it. How do you know? You haven't had that conversation to know if it's taboo or if the company is positioned differently, right? Or you guys can have conversations, right? Like you just got to know how to approach those conversations, right? So you won't know if you don't ask. But let me break down how you should be using this, right? And you could use this first one with leadership. So visibility is leadership. So if you're working for a company, they need to know that they have polished, credible, thought-provoking leaders on their team. Is that going to bring more opportunities? Are they going to feel like you're going to get snatched up by a different opportunity? Possibility. But if you have that rapport, if you have that transparency, if you have that equity, that relationship equity with that leader, then you guys can have that conversation. But then thought leadership is brand equity. So again, you're building your equity socially, right? Visibly. And if you do that over years and you're talking about a specific subject, niche, or position, that can give you long-term opportunities. Like I mentioned Gary Vee earlier, he's built up his dad's business, his wine business, and he turned that into an online market. He built that and he's been able to partner with other companies, consulting, just giving certain and provide like certain services or investment in companies because he's been so thought provoking and polarizing when it comes to social media and partnerships and strategic, moves, right? Like he's been all about that and he's written books about it, podcasts, like he's putting himself out there, right? He practices humility in a real way. He had a segment to where he was going around, selling, going to garage sales, getting collectibles, whether it was trading cards, it was all type of trinkets and stuff, and he was going around and reselling it to generate money. So he's giving you tangible advice, and he's demonstrating it too. So he's created an ecosystem of authority, online, offline, on all digital platforms, on social media, on LinkedIn, everywhere. You search Gary Vee, a lot of stuff is going to pop up because he's putting himself out there and he has been doing it for years. So if you're thinking about that, like, and you've been sitting on this thought about coaching, consulting, your own podcast, being on an advisory board, and you haven't taken the steps to start that, again, it's not too late. Definitely hit me up. But like I said, your employer is going to benefit from your platform. Trust me. And the last thing I kind of want to leave you guys with is So you got to look at this from like a flywheel, right? I want to give you this motto. So you got to have clarity on what you're talking about and your stance on that subject and how the benefits or pros and cons or whatever conversation you want to have on that. So you have to be clear. You want to be known for something. Gary Vee is known for, what he's known for. Like, and then he's putting out the second thing will be content. Where can I find Gary Vee talking about social media? I can find him everywhere, right? And where can I right now Gary Vee's talking about like live selling on what is it, whatnot, something like that. And he's talking about essentially Asia has been on it. And he's been on it for years. So if you want to generate real revenue in real time, start a live platform to where you're selling products, product on. And if so, he's really been on that heavy. I know where he stands on with that. I'm clear on what he's saying about that. And where can I find it? I can find it everywhere. I can find it on Instagram. I can find it on LinkedIn. I can find it on YouTube. Right. And what does that give him? Credibility. Because he's consistent. He's showing up and he's clear on his message. Right. And what does that lead to? Opportunity. Like I talk about, that leads to more opportunities, speaking, partnership, investing. Right. That leads him to that. Right. So you do that, the more clarity you're going to have and you're going to get better over time. You're not going to be perfect, but people want to see the real you. They just want to see the authentic you showing up. And that's essentially what this series is about, is companies want to know the real you and they want to get to know you and not just, again, they need your resume in addition to your platform. Right. So when you do this on a long enough time horizon or a long enough period, you're going to build momentum. There's so many creators, so many entrepreneurs, so many corporate leaders, so many thought leaders that have posted on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, and they showed up and they were spot on. They were prepared. They researched, they practiced, they prepped, they did all those things and they're showing up consistently and it's paying dividends literally, right? So if this really resonated with you, if you're ready to move from respected internal and recognized employee and you're ready to build externally and you're ready to build that leverage, that the authority flywheel that I just spoke about, send me a message or book some time on my calendar. If you're on LinkedIn, shoot me a DM. If you're looking on YouTube or Apple or Spotify, shoot me out an email, send me a message. Let's hop on a quick call because you will regret not taking action on your position right now. You will regret it. And I want to help you get some clarity on where you're at and what we can do together to get you where you want to go. And again, I definitely want to land this plane with this. It's a long game, not a short game, right? So if you want to build that authority, it's going to take time and consistency, but direction more importantly. All right. I'll see you guys on the next one.